Chris is here. Hi, Chris. And we'll give everybody else a few seconds more to get on here. And how's the weather in Australia, Chris, today on Easter? Here, where we live, it's kind of, I don't know what it's like.
It's about 10.
Oh, it's balmy.
It was supposed to rain today, but I didn't see.
Oh, yeah? There's a bit of a lag today. More so that it seems almost a little longer than usual. So I hope you can hear us okay, see us okay. I need to adjust the camera a little bit. We got too much ceiling. Get glare off your head.
Well, according to what I've got, it's 15 degrees C in Brisbane right now.
Ooh. Oh, Yeti's here. Hi, Yeti. And how's the weather where you are, Yeti? Yeah, Chris, there's too many people at home using the internet. Yeah, the YouTube has been bogging down a little lately. I especially notice it when I'm uploading to it, but yeah. Hi, Mel. Yes, we're doing okay. We'll talk a little bit about that today, but had some exciting things happen this week. Well, they weren't exciting. I think we're a little crooked. I'm surprised.
I think we're pretty good.
Oh.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's just the ceiling's crooked, right? Like me.
Oh, yeah, I guess. All right, well, you usually complain about it. Okay, so just as we wait here to see who else is coming on, I see we've got about 7, but I only see 3 speaking. That happens all the time. There must be a lot of shy people
Well,
out
not
there.
only that, it's Easter. Who knows what they're
Oh,
doing.
yeah. Did you get your sewing machine repaired? You're funny. No. Well, okay, it's in the process. As far as I know, I was going to talk a little bit about that in a minute, though. So I'm just going to hold off for a bit on that, but I'll come to that. Chris, I did watch your video on your resin covers. That was a really fascinating technique. I had never thought of doing that. But one question I have for you is, does that make your journal, once that's all dry, really heavy? Because I've never tried it, but it was an interesting technique. Makes me want to try it. Oh, Kathy's here. Hi, Kathy.
Oops.
So we're having very exciting hors d'oeuvres today. We're having naan with hummus, but the special gourmet treat, we had waffles this morning for brunch. I made waffles. I had 1 waffle left over, so I threw cheese on it, put it in the toaster oven, and cut it up. Now it's little cheesy bits, cheesy waffle bits. You know, during this time of isolation and that, we can't waste anything. Actually, kind of tasty, I think.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, tastes like a waffle with cheese on them. Hi, Bonnie. So, let's get started. Update on my mother. She's fine, but frustrating week with her. I tried to get a hold of her 3 days in a row, in the morning, in the afternoon. Phone rang. One day, she actually picked it up. She goes, hello?
I think it happened to you more than once, didn't
Well,
it?
yeah, it did. And, you build up a story to a climax here.
Well, you
just
said
jump.
it only happened once. I thought.
No, I said it didn't happen once. The first time it happened, sorry, I stand to be corrected. And I hear her go, hello, and I go, hello, Mom. Hello? Hello? Clink. She hangs up on me. And then, of course, when I tried to call her back, the phone's on busy signal forever. Try it again the next day, Same thing again. Finally, after trying about 6 times over a period of 3 days, I finally got a hold of her. And I said to her, Mom, what are you doing? I called you. Well, I don't know. She says, I get so nervous when that phone rings. There's definitely something wrong with my mother mentally anymore. I don't know. She's becoming really daughtery. Part of it, I think, is because of the situation she's in. Like, she's in a place where she doesn't bother to take any part in anything, so she's not getting any stimulation and all that. But anyways, I talked to her, and I said, she knows what's going on. She watches it on TV, and she tells me. So, I just don't get it. On the one hand, she seems pretty much with it. On the other hand, she seems to be like this phone thing, out of it. So
She's always had a problem with that phone for some reason.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That and a remote control for the TV. But
I think she picks up the phone and then her hand pushes a button.
maybe. But I don't hear any tone, like a
Well,
tone
I don't know.
off.
Well, it's weird that it just cuts off all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Or
I
she-
don't know.
Or she puts it back down on
On the cradle.
the cradle and doesn't turn it off.
Well, that's a possibility. I don't know. Anything is possible. But anyway, we did get a little bit of a scare this week. The nursing home she's in has these automated calls now that go out to keep you up to date on what's going on. Probably because they're getting inundated with calls because this whole virus thing is going through nursing homes right now like wildfire in and around our area. Knock wood, cross my fingers, everything else. Don't want to say anything too loud about it, but this nursing home my mother's in, they took proactive measures way back before this thing got really bad, and so far things have been good. But on one of these announcements that came, the automatic call, they said there was 2 patients that had developed, or 2 residents who had developed a cough, and so they swabbed them, or did the test to check for COVID virus. And then they called back and said that, they said that their roommates were being tested too, if they had roommates. And they said anybody who was being tested, they would get a personal call or already had a personal call from the staff. Well, we didn't get a call, but when I did get a hold of my mother, I said to her, so I hear there's a couple. Oh, is there? She doesn't know. Well, of course, they probably don't go around and broadcast it because they don't want to upset the residences either about these things. Mm-hmm. And, but I know it wasn't her, so that was good. But, it's one person gets it in the nursing home and it just seems to destroy it. Anyways, they came back with a call and said that the cases that were tested came back negative, so it was just a cold or whatever. And then just before we went on air today, my email, there was a message from the home administrator saying that now they've tested 12 residents and they've gotten back the result on 10 of them, and all 10 of those came back negative, which is good. And hopefully the other 2 come back negative as well. Because if this nursing home gets it like some of the other nursing homes, it's going to wipe them out. There's one nursing home that's had half their residents have died.
Yeah, they had 66 residents and they had about 30 deaths. So
yeah. Plus they had some. Did they have one volunteer passed away, and
actually, I have a feeling that the volunteer brought the thing into the nursing home.
Yeah,
because she's the first one that got it.
Yeah, and you said their husband was in there, and
yeah, and he was the second one got it.
But it also sounded like this nursing home had not been very proactive about visitors. My mother's nursing home, they have not been able to have visitors for over a month. They were shutting down on that last time we went over to see my mother. They were checking people's temperature and the whole bit and coming in, and then they just locked the doors and they told us all, no visitors at all. They've had a little problem with some of the staff there because apparently there's people coming and wanting to see their loved ones like at the front door, that kind of thing. And some of the staff have been putting on their masks and wheeling them. I don't know if they've been opening up the door or whatever, but the administrator, she let them have it when she found out.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say for her, good for her that she did that. But, like, what are these people that are coming? I mean, okay, I get it. It's hard. You've got someone in there and, you're worried about their state and everything like that. They've set up a system where they're using FaceTime with the residences for anybody who requests it. And they're sort of giving people a time. But they're busy there too. So they're saying, they've been inundated with requests for this. I don't need to see my mother's face. I talk to her on the phone.
But see, you have the ability to talk to her on the phone. There's a lot of those.
Well, they may not have a phone. Yeah, that's true enough with it. And mind you, my mother would never know how to use FaceTime, although the residents or the staff are running that for them, of course, with their iPads and their phones and things like that, which is nice that they're doing that. But nevertheless, and then they put out a thing this weekend too, like, okay, don't even think about trying to come over here and dropping off little gifts for Easter to the residents, like, chocolate bunnies or whatever, because you're not getting in and we are not accepting anything in there. So, it's probably hard for, both the residents and family members, but it's for the best too. So I just don't understand why some people don't accept that this is for, the best of the people that are in there. I don't get that mentality whatsoever. But anyways, she's fine if she don't pick up the damn phone. But anyways, so that's the update on my mother. Chris, I was worried about that as well. The resin is quite light. The finish is light glass. Yeah, it looked really cool.
I was watching it too. It looked really neat.
Yeah, I want to give that a try. I don't know if I have any resin. I did have some resin, but I've never tried that technique. So that was really kind of cool. And if you're not sure, if you came in after I mentioned this, Chris has a video on YouTube on her channel, Inviting Thoughts, and she was doing a journal with a resin cover to it. It's kind of cool. Especially the way Chris used the alcohol inks in the resin. I thought that was a really neat effect, too.
I also like the buttons.
The buttons show up really well, too. So, check it out. It is, Aunt B. It is really good. Okay, so that was my mother. So, how's everybody coping with your isolation? Happy Hopper Day, Aunt B says. Happy Hopper Day to you too, Aunt B. We're fine. I'm not bored. Especially in a moment I'll tell you what's been keeping me busy lately. It involves my sewing machine, which you've probably already seen a little bit about that. But anyways, yeah, we're in. I think, well, you were out for a walk. How many times this week did you go for a walk?
I only went yesterday.
When we went yesterday.
Yeah, because the day before it was cool, really fairly cold. Wasn't that cold, but it was really windy. And I stuck my head out the door and I thought, no, I'm not walking through that. So.
Yeah, we actually had a couple of days in the last week where I woke up in the morning and we had snow. Not a lot. It was just a dusting. That's not unusual in April where we live. I mean, out west, I'm talking to a friend out there, and they got like about 20 centimeters just a few days ago.
Yeah, like it was the day, and then there was a day that was rainy, and I didn't really want to walk through that when it's cold and miserable and rainy.
Yeah, but
yesterday was okay, but even that it was fairly cool when we were walking after a while, and it was only like it was 6 degrees Celsius, which isn't terrible.
But the wind was cool.
When it's windy on a day like that and it's overcast, it feels really kind of cold after a while.
Yeah, so we're not bored. I have to say though, even when we go out on the walk, I'm a little paranoid, and I'm afraid that's going to get worse as time goes by, because when you're retired, you're kind of used to, unlike working people, you're kind of used to being a little bit isolated to a certain extent. I mean, you don't go out every day, but we go out as much as we possibly can, like when things were normal.
Well, we've been out a little more often.
Well, yeah. Usually down to the quilt store.
Or to see your mother.
Or to see my mother, yes.
Or go out for dinner one night.
Or lunch. So yeah. But my sewing machine busted. And you know how I quilt my quilts using my embroidery features of my sewing machine? Well, I was working on the largest quilt I've ever done on the sewing machine, a good sized queen. I had it all propped up so there wasn't any weight on my machine. I have a system, bungee cord system and that, and I've shown this on The Idiot Quilter. If you're interested, go to episode 62. It'll show you how I do this. Things were going along okay. The quilt was extremely heavy, and at one point it decided to get caught on the arm that hangs out from the back of the sewing machine, which is part of the embroidery unit, and it's the mechanism that makes the hoop go sideways and up and down for your embroidery stitches. And it made this horrible noise, and I immediately turned it all off and took a look at it, and yeah, now it doesn't go up and down. And I went, oh crap. So I tried to look up videos on YouTube, because they're a fairly simple mechanism, to see if I could fix it myself or problem. Well, I started to take it apart, and then I thought better of it. I thought, no, don't think this is good. But luckily my quilting store, she's been doing curbside deliveries, and she's also taking in machines that need repair. She's got about 3 different people that she has that work for her to repair machines and everything. So I made arrangements, went down. We were very safe. We didn't even go into the store. She had her car right there. The back was open. We just took the sewing machine and all its parts and just dropped them into the trunk of her car. And so it's gone off to be repaired. That was Wednesday. I have no idea how long it's going to be. I mean, it could be something very simple that the guy can handle, but if it needs a part, will he have the part? Will he have to get the part? The part has to come from Janome. Heaven only knows. So right now I'm without my major sewing machine, but luckily I have a second sewing machine. So, and that's what I've been using. The only thing is I can't embroider. And ironically, the other day, I found a pattern for making face masks using your embroidery machine, the in the hoop feature. And I thought I'd made a couple of masks, but they take a little bit of time. They're not hard, but they're just kind of, if you want to make more than a couple, they do take up some time. And then I thought, well, this would be good. So I downloaded, it was free pattern too. I downloaded it, and I have to wait till my machine comes back. Although Walter has an embroidery machine,
Yeah, I mean,
this
I
would
could
work
do
on
it.
it. You could try it
Yeah.
on yours, and and see how those work out. Because if that works out okay, then
You still have elastic, don't you?
make a few more, maybe for our neighbors or whatever things. Because these aren't ones that can be used by hospital people. They're they don't have the right filter kind of thing and all that. So I'm kind of behind the 8 ball as far as embroidery is going, but I can still quilt. And so, the quilt that got caught, I was doing a fairly, not an elaborate quilting pattern on it, but one that takes some time. I got about a third of the quilt done, and then I had this problem. And the other thing I discovered was the batting I was using was causing me a lot of grief. The batting goes between the layers of the top of the quilt and the back of the quilt, and that's what gives you, fluffiness when you quilt it. Well, it was puckering underneath, and I didn't realize that. So I pulled out some of the stitches, readjusted it, but that was pissing me off. And part of the problem was I bought this stupid batting a few months ago, not from my regular supplier, not from my quilt store. There's another store we have called Fabricland, or as we like to refer to it, and many people do, the F store. If you know what a Michaels is, Michaels is craft stuff, and everybody knows that Michaels, if you live in North America, you know what Michaels is everything is double the cost for your craft supplies. They have these coupons all the time, like 40% off one item or something, but that just means they put the price up on those items that way. And it's not crap. The stuff they sell is brand name, but it's just that so expensive. Well, the F store, Fabricland, is kind of like them. They do the same thing, but their fabric, as far as quilting cotton is concerned, is expensive, and a lot of it is seconds. It's not.
And it's poor quality.
Yeah, that's
too.
what I meant.
The colors are awful.
Yeah. And so, anyways, there was a rumor they were going out of business in around Christmas time. They were going into bankruptcy or something. So we went over because they were having these sales, and they had batting, 50% off, which is a good price. Batting's not cheap. So I bought, I think, 2 or 3 meters of this stuff. And I should have known better, because when I was laying it out on the quilt, it was tearing on me. Now, batting isn't like fabric. It will, if you pull on it hard enough, you can rip it. But you have to pull on it fairly hard. This stuff, I'm sticking my finger through it when I'm trying to get it laid out and basted onto my quilt layers. And I'm thinking at that point, this isn't good. Well, that's why I was getting the puckers as well, because this stuff was just horrible. So what am I doing now with that quilt? I love the top. It's the one if you remember, I showed it about two vlogs ago. It's called the Doves of Hope. And I really like that quilt top. So I'm ripping out all the quilting stitches. I started doing that today. It is an endless process.
I'll do some if you want.
Well, fine, whatever. But I'm determined that I'm going to get those all ripped out, save my quilt top, then I'm going to use proper batting, and I will quilt it on my sewing machine, but this one I will not do it with my embroidery unit. I'll do like stitch in the ditch, they call it, and maybe some walking foot quilting, because my machine can handle that on this size. But anyways, live and learn. They ought to make me a tester for products, because I can break anything.
You maybe should write Janome that
Yeah.
you're a power user.
Yeah, I'm a power user. Yeah, well, I am. But anyways, hi Anita. Chris says your Door of the Month Club looked really interesting. Yeah, actually, and they're fun to do. But again, I need my embroidery machine to do those. And if any of you haven't seen my latest vlog, I showed what those look like. Also, I did an idiot quilter yesterday as well, and I showed them on there as well with a bunch of other projects I'm working on. I'm also working on what they call a Dear Jane quilt. A Dear Jane quilt is it's a quilt that was designed by a woman named Jane Stickle in the 1800s. When she designed it, there's over 225 blocks in it. Each block is different, so it's kind of like a sampler. And she did it all by hand. Well, Electric Quilt is a program that designs quilts on your computer. It's a fairly expensive program. I bought it when I first got into quilting. It's got a bit of a steep learning curve to it, but they came out with an add-on a week or so ago at a pretty good price, so you can make a Dear Jane quilt. And this is always something that's in the bucket list for quilters, is to make a Dear Jane. And I can tell you why it's on their bucket list, because I'll be dead before I ever get this one done. Because each block is 4.5 inches square when you get it done. And they're all different styles. Some are pieced, some are what they call foundation piecing, some are appliqued. So really, by the time you finish this quilt, you've really kind of experienced everything you can possibly experience in making a quilt. But I've got 3 of the blocks done. It's not something that I'm rushing through. It's kind of okay, when I feel like it, I'll make a block. Although they're not those for 4.5 inch blocks. They seem to be taking me a lot longer than what I usually do. But anyways, that's another project. So what are you working on?
Yeah, not much.
That's right. You're fighting mostly with the River Cruise Company.
Yeah, well, no, actually, I'm trying to get through to them.
It is, Bonnie.
Yeah, it's a dying.
Yeah, the door that and Bonnie sells like a sampler quilt. Yeah, that's what the Dear Jane is. It's a sampler. But okay, so tell them about our thing with the River Cruise. What the River Cruise is offering, what we really want.
Well, actually, they've tried to. They're sort of pushing that they'll give us 110% future cruise credit. That'll go to that'll be valid up until 2022 for 110% of what we paid, and if at the end of 2022 we don't use that credit, then we can get the original amount back. And they're pushing for us to take that, right? And they're not seeming to offer anything else. And they sort of say, well, if that's not what you want, then you can go in and cancellation. What do you call it?
Cancellation insurance?
No, cancellation. I forget.
What if we cancel it?
No, it says then we would have to cancel it or something like this. Well, I'm not telling them. As far as I know, we should be entitled for a full refund.
Yeah.
So I got to argue with them.
But we did check it out on our insurance. We took out insurance on this, cancellation insurance, and
that was before they put in the COVID-19 clauses in it. So I did call them and ask them if they don't give us the full money back for what we paid for it, if the insurance company would cover the difference, and they said they would.
But we're we want 100% of our money back from them. Because it also involves our flights. Now, they booked our flights for us. We did it all through them. So, and you felt that what they were talking about included the flight price.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They're basically...
Now, they did sort of say that if they had incurred any fees for canceling the flight, that they'd have to pass that on to us. But...
Well, right now, Air Canada, which is what our flight was with,
yeah,
they're waiving cancellation fees.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but they're not giving, I don't know if they're giving refunds back.
So anyways, they're closed. The cruise people that Walter needs to talk to are closed, of course, for the weekend because of Easter. And so that's what he's working on right now. But if they think we're going to be pushovers, they're wrong. And I get it. They're trying to protect their interest. However, I don't think offering us a future cruise credit, because quite frankly, I don't want to go on a cruise ever again right now. Because when this whole thing's over, and I mean even ocean cruises, we've been on a lot of ocean cruises. I think we've done 9 cruises over the years, and we love them. We love cruising. However, now I'm getting a little paranoid about them because this whole situation has really shown how unprepared cruise lines are for handling situations that involve people's health. There's always disease on a cruise ship. We used to always call it kennel cough because halfway through any cruise, half the people on the cruise ship would be coughing. You're in, like, it's like being on an airplane in some ways. You're in an environment that, has a recirculated air and the whole bit. Maybe not quite as bad as being on an airplane because, of course, you can be out in the open air and things like that, but not all the time. And, you're dealing with upwards of like 5,000 people on a cruise ship, plus staff and the whole bit, And, you get to a certain age where, diseases can wipe you out. And we're kind of getting to that age. So, I don't know. I'm really kind of tainted against going on a cruise again. Never say never, but I don't know. By the time I think I feel comfortable to go on a cruise, I'll be 70.
Well, not so long as something as volatile as COVID-19's out there. And
well, they also have Norwalk, though, and they always hear about Legionnaire's disease.
No, we've been on them knowing that.
Knowing that. And luckily, knock wood, we've never gotten anything. In fact, I don't know if we've ever been on a cruise that they've actually said there was Norwalk on it.
No.
But
not saying that could never. And we always they were always proactive in a lot of those ones to make sure that you
Yeah.
sanitize before you.
But
Yeah.
it just shows you like they don't know what they're doing. And the other thing too is, all right, there's no guarantee that this particular company that we're dealing with won't be out of business by 2022. I mean, they're essentially not running any river cruises probably until who knows if
Until at least next year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they said that, oh yeah, we might be in operation again in like August or September, but I have my doubts that
I don't think
this will be all blown over by then.
Yeah. So, anyways, our goal is to try and get all our money back.
And then we also have a trip that we were going to go out in June to the Canadian Quilt Show
in Edmonton.
Now the quilt show supposedly is postponed it now till September.
Yeah, that's it's not going to happen.
No, I don't think that all this stuff will be over by then.
No.
So I haven't actually canceled all that yet, but we're not really on the hook with too much money there. Is that one half of the flight was booked on air mile or points, and apparently I can cancel and get my points back.
We didn't pay anything for hotels. We just booked them, and they have we can cancel those with
the
no
only
penalty.
thing is one flight where we paid for. As far as I know, Air Canada is giving you a flight credit for cancellation.
So that one's not too bad. Oh, I also have theater tickets for one weekend in July, which I don't know what they're doing about that because I know the theater is closed right now. And so I'm just waiting. They said it was closed until the end of May, I think, or they closed or had canceled all their performances to the end of May. But I'm sure the performance we were going to go to will be closed out too. But they didn't say anything about refunds, how that was working. So I may have a little fight there. I don't know. But the thing is, I don't want credits for future things. Because right now, given the way the economy is being affected by this, there might not be a future for a lot of these businesses, unfortunately. Yeah. So, no.
Fight so we're going to see what we get back. Yeah. And if we don't get all of it back, then I know that the insurance company has said that they'll cover it. So, yeah. I mean, it just the only thing about putting with the insurance company is you got to file all the paperwork with them.
Yeah, but we get time. So anyways, what are people saying here? Anita says she finally got out her sewing machine. I have not used it in 10 years and it was a brand new machine. It's a Brother. I could not get the bobbin winder to work. Okay, one thing you might want to try, Anita, is oil. You might want to oil your machine.
First of all, look in your instructions and see if there's oiling spots for your machine, because like Steve's sister had a machine just sitting there in it, and she's never really used it much, and it's a few years old, and we got it and we tried it and it was pretty much seized. You should stir it with the it was pretty much seized, and so what I did was I opened it up and I found the manual and I opened it up and it showed where to oil it. A lot of the newer machines say you don't have to oil it, but actually you do, because when you bring it into service, that's what they do. And I oiled it quite a bit and started getting to work, but I had to let it penetrate for a couple of days and kept trying to use it over a couple of days, and it eventually loosened up and started stitching properly.
So that might be one of the problems with it. The other thing is, if you haven't used it in about 10 years and it was brand new then, are you using, okay, this may be a stupid question, but do you know exactly how to wind a bobbin with it? What the mechanism is?
Yeah, because they do differ depending.
They do differ on machines, so you might want to refresh your memory on that with the user manual. And if you can't find the user manual, just do a search for your model number and manual, like Brother 100 manual, and
you'll probably Kenmore, whatever. Kenmore machines are all Janome, so
her machine is a Brother.
Oh, it's a Brother.
That's why I said Brother. That's what she said. Yeah. Paying attention?
No.
Because you can find the manuals usually online for most sewing machines too. So I hope that helps you. And he says, I finally wound the bobbin by hand and got it to sewing. Okay. But really, winding a bobbin by hand isn't the best because the tension will be off on your bobbin and that can cause you some problems. Ask me how I know. Because anything I tell you that can cause you problems is because I've experienced it. Believe me. That's why I said I should be a tester for products.
It's probably the motor's running, either the belt's slipping inside or the or like the mechanism that you use to wind the bobbin is seized.
Like, I know on my machines, the way you wind a bobbin is you put it on on a spindle, and there's a little plastic piece that you sometimes it'll engage. My machine, it's automatic, but on other machines, you just have to slide it over so it engages with the bobbin, and it'll spin it around, and when your bobbin's full, it pops off, turns itself off. But all machines are different.
Yeah, like the one that's on my embroidery machine, it's similar to that, but it stops winding after a period of time. It doesn't
do like mine does.
No.
Huh? So I don't know. Yeah, when in doubt, check the manual, I guess. Bonnie says she had a flight booked on May 12th. Haven't checked to see what WestJet is going to do with it. Think I will get 100%, but it will be a credit. More than likely, that's how they do it.
Well, the way a lot of the flights work, even the one that we have, unless you buy the top of the line package for the most expensive seat, which most average people don't, they won't give you a money back guarantee on that. They usually say there's a change for a fee or something like that. But now the companies have said that basically there won't be. You can change it, but there won't be any fee, but they just give you future credit. I think Air Canada is doing something like if you cancel your April flight, you can get a credit till the next year at the same time.
You know the problem with the travel industry, all of them are the same way. They're money grabbers, and they do not want. They can only do too little for you. In fact, that's what my rant's going to be tomorrow on what's pissing me off on my vlog.
They'll take your money, but they don't want to get back.
And right now, in this time, the way it is that we're going through, businesses should take into consideration what it costs them to have good PR. Because people will remember.
Because if the cruise company screws me, or screws us on this trip, then I'm not going to be too kind about them.
You'll bet that I will be letting them know that, and all the social media outlets, YouTube, Facebook, and the whole bit, I will be telling people about it. And in this day and age, and I know that works because I've done that for a couple of other things I had problems with, and boy, did I get reaction really fast. I think I told you the story about Bell Canada, our major internet provider and telephone service provider, and went on to the Facebook page and started to say, boy, I got people real quick to solve my problem. So,
well, I've been trying to call them on the weekend, but they have taken the weekend off for Easter, so probably. Who knows? I think they've been inundated by calls for the last little while.
Well, probably.
Probably figured to give their staff a breather for a few days.
I mean, I feel sorry for this particular company because under normal circumstances, I'm sure they would be fine. Because they have a fairly good reputation anyways. But this is the real proof, is how they handle a crisis situation. And, I want my money now. I don't want it sometime later. And I don't want to postpone something. Because who knows? Like, I'm almost 63 years old. Postponing, I could be dead in 2 years. And I guess they say that you can transfer it to somebody else too. Yeah, I'm going to will it to somebody, my river cruise kind of a thing. No, no. But anyways, we'll keep you posted as to how all that works out for us. So what else people are saying here? Yes, Bonnie says, Andy says, cruise ships sound like a petri dish, and Bonnie says planes are kind of petri dish too. Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
I mean, they claim that they have all these HEPA filters in airplanes and stuff like that. But I don't know how many times I've flown and gotten off the airplane 2 days later, I end up with a cold.
Yeah,
Now, mind you, that could also be because you're stressed out when you're flying and everything else. And then if you do happen to pick up a small bug, it just
yeah.
latches on.
But yeah, so who knows? But yeah, it's true. But then again, another way to look at it too is if you worried every time you travel that you're going to pick up some kind of disease, then you might as well not travel, period.
Yeah.
Because, you could eat something. I mean, we went to China once and half of our tour, including Walter, got the Chinese revenge, meaning that it was, sitting on a toilet for quite a while, kind of a deal.
It was bizarre.
I didn't get it, luckily. But the tour guide, actually, who was Chinese, he knew this was going to happen to some of us, probably. And he had ancient Chinese secret for fixing it. He had some kind of little pill that actually did work. In fact, at the
Yeah,
end...
well, actually, what happened was that was the day we visited the Great Wall.
Was that?
Yeah, and that we stopped in a place for beer. Well, I bet
Oh,
you,
yeah.
now, you didn't get it, but I have a feeling I ingested something with that beer.
I had the same beer as you did.
Yeah, I know, but I have a feeling there might have been a droplet of water or something like that on the outside of the
Maybe.
that might have.
Yeah, but you weren't the only one that got it.
No, I know.
Half the tour had it.
Yeah, I know. So what ended up happening was the guy said to us, well, if you get a problem, to contact him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we went for dinner that night. We went for Peking duck. And at that point in time at the dinner, my stomach was rumbling and not feeling
was your
well.
Peking duck peeking out?
Yeah. And my stomach was rumbling and like it wasn't really like I had really bad cramps or anything like that. I just was rumbling and stuff like that. We got back to the hotel, and no sooner we got back to the hotel, I go to the bathroom. And it was very liquidy. And
Okay, let's...
No,
we're
hang
eating
on.
hummus, for God's
No,
sake.
I know. But I wasn't in a lot of pain. I was just in discomfort that I had to go to the bathroom all the time. And I couldn't stop. That's the problem. And so I desperately got a hold of the tour director. I got him out of bed. And he gave me these little Chinese pills. He gave me like 3 of them, right? And he says, well, take 3 now and take 3 in the morning, right? I gave me 6, I think. So I took 3 then. Within 20 minutes, I was fine again, right? And then he gave me 3 more in the morning. In the morning, my stomach started rumbling again. He gave me 3 more. And then he said, I'll give you another 3 later in the day. And then I was good for quite a while.
Yeah.
I didn't have any other problems. But the thing is that, and then I found out later what it was. It was actually a holistic thing.
Oh, was it?
It wasn't actually a prescription.
Well, because we went on the last day of the tour. We all went into this drugstore that he recommended to get these pills. There are people, well, these are so great to have them. But we got some. We brought them home. They don't work here in North America. Because you tried them one time when Walter sometimes has this problem. And you said they had absolutely no effect.
No.
So we don't know if we got not the same as what he gave us, although he said they were. Or they only work with certain things you might eat in China. I don't know. We didn't have bats.
Yeah, he said he probably wouldn't work anywhere else because it was for a specific thing that you get in China.
Which kind of makes you wonder then, doesn't it? Given now the situation we're in and how this all came to be and what's going on in their food there. So after all of this, I wouldn't go back to China either. I always said I wouldn't mind going back to China because when we went, we had a really good trip and it was great.
Oh, I don't know. I'd go back. It's just I wouldn't go back right now.
Well, don't think so. But anyways, who knows? But this is one of the risks you take when you travel. Problem is, you get a little older. Are you willing to take those kind of risks? And I'm beginning to think I'd rather see more of my own country these days. Well, not going to see any of it actually for a while. Let's see what else are people saying. B says she'd never go on a cruise.
Yeah, some people would bother them to go on a cruise.
Yeah, Anita says I think the tourist-related business will have a bad year. Oh yeah, I think so. I think out of a lot of the businesses that are going to suffer greatly, I think the travel business is going to be on the top of the list. Chris says we had accommodation booked for this week on the Gold Coast. They let us change date till next year. That's good. Now Aunt B says to Anita, make sure your presser foot is up too. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Anita says, though, she could hear the motor or something running inside, but the rod that turns the bobbin to wind it was not turning, thanks to the place to oil it. Again, I'm thinking if it wasn't turning, if it didn't have the little pin mechanism that you push across to touch the bobbin case, it won't spin.
Yeah, different machines do different things. Like the older machines, you had to disengage the flywheel on it and stuff like that.
To do it. So
so I don't know.
I don't know. Again, your manual might be of help. No, she has the manual, and you can watch YouTube videos. Got that out. Okay. Well, sorry we can't be any more help then. Anita says never thought about a belt. Yeah, it's a possibility.
I suspect something got seized in there.
Yeah. B says I think you can a winder you can use independent of the machine. Yeah, they have some, but I've heard mixed reactions about those because I almost bought one once. And I was told at the store, don't bother with that particular one. It's called the Sidewinder or something. She said, it's not worth the money. So I don't know. And then somebody else told me too in the quilt store that those separate winders, the tension may be off on them for your machine. So in other words, they recommend
Have you thought of buying pre-wound bobbins?
Yeah. There's,
I mean, it depends on what kind of a bobbin you have. If you have a drop-in bottom, which is a class 15, if it drops in from the top, right, not ones that load in the side.
Yeah, well, she has a brother machine, so it probably is the top.
Well, not necessarily. The older brother machines probably load in from the side, like my mother's old one and stuff.
But hers wasn't a brother.
No, I know, but that's how they used to be. All machines used to come in from the side.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Oh, maybe 50 years ago. Hers is only 10 years.
Yeah, well, if it's a brother machine, it's a pop-in bobbin, that's usually like a plastic one or something like that, then from the top that goes in underneath your foot, then chances are it's a class 15.
Then you can get pre-wound bobbins.
Pre-wound bobbins.
And Brother makes pre-wound bobbins for their machines because you just can't use any pre-wound bobbin in some of them. Or if you get something like a Deco Bob or something like that by Wonderfill, those ones work pretty much in a lot of different machines. I use pre-wound bobbins all the time and no problem, but they are meant for my Janome. So, but they do save you a lot of time, and you get more thread on those because of the way they're wound. It's just a thought. They're not that expensive. Anyways, that's about the best we can offer you as far as advice. And Anita says, well, I laid in bed one night thinking if I could get a bobbin going, I could at least see if it would sew. It works. Okay. Air Canada credits for 2 years, I think, just for this time. Bonnie says. And then Bonnie says, but if it's a canceled trip, how can they not give you 100% of your money back? Yeah, but it's Air Canada.
No, I think they were talking about the cruise.
Oh, I see what you're at. Yeah, well...
Well, see, that's the difference. Like, if Air Canada cancels the flight, then, yeah, you're entitled to 100% of your money back. Mm-hmm. But if you cancel the flight, because Air Canada hasn't canceled our flight in June yet.
Yeah.
If you cancel the flight, then they don't have to give you your money back. Now, see, the same with this river cruise, technically, they're canceling this cruise, right? Or what they've done is they've postponed.
They've postponed it, but they haven't postponed it for a specific date.
No.
It's for you to
So,
book the
yeah.
date. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm going to call them and because in their standard terms and conditions, it says standard terms and conditions apply. Well, I reread the standard terms and conditions, and it does have a little clause that if they can't have to cancel a cruise, but it's worded this way: we may give you back 100% of your thing.
Well, what you do is you just phone them and say, hi. No, we can't take that because we've just been diagnosed with terminal cancer. We have 6 months to live.
Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that no, that doesn't work for us. That's not.
Well,
that's
you're gonna
not
have,
acceptable.
You're going to have to be firm,
Yeah.
real firm. So, squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah. Well, as long as if you
Just
don't,
be a
if you don't say anything to them, then they'll just go ahead.
Well,
and do
yeah,
whatever
because they want
yeah.
the easy road out.
Yeah.
They want the easy road out. So no, not getting the easy road out. Nisa Steve, I think there will be a lot of staycations this year. Oh yeah, for sure. And Nita says, is everyone out there staying healthy? We are good at the moment. My husband's been off for 2 weeks. Most likely he will be off till May 4th or longer. Okay, Anita, I don't want to insult anybody that's an American, but I'm hearing this a lot from Americans. Americans seem to are giving information that is completely unreliable about this situation. People, this is not going to be over. Even our own government they keep saying, well, they've got July as sort of a time, but they're not saying it'll be over then. They're saying that's when the second wave could probably be coming. Or we peak in July. Peak does not mean it's going to be over. But I've been listening to so many podcasts and YouTube videos that are done by Americans, and there is such a lack of information going out to the American people and making them think
that everything's going to go back to normal after a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's not. It is not. I wish it would. Prove me wrong. Oh, for God's sakes, please prove me absolutely wrong. I would really like to be proven wrong. But this is wrong, to fill people with false hope. And that's what Trump is doing, and that's what American officials are doing. In our country, in Canada, they're not really giving us a lot of false hope. Our Prime Minister comes on every day, every morning, to tell us what's going on. And yes, there's some politics involved in this. But he's not sugarcoating it. And the reporters keep trying to press him to give a deadline date. A deadline date. One, he can't. Nobody can. The health authorities can't. Nothing. In fact, our Prime Minister was saying just the other day, he said, look, when the press was pressing him for a date, he said, I don't know. This will not be over, he says, until we have a vaccine for it. And that's a year to 18 months down the road. If it comes sooner than that, we'll all be happy. These are my words, not his at this point, with it. But we got to be realistic about it. This is something that's unprecedented in our lifetimes, and actually in a lot of lifetimes. We haven't seen anything probably this bad since the Spanish flu, and that was in 1918, so 100 years ago. I think we have got to, as much as we hate it, we have to get used to what is now going to be the new norm. This is the new norm for us for quite a while. And I just think they're doing us a disservice. Anybody in positions of power, if they try to sugarcoat it or give us false hope. I am the kind of person who always looks at things as being the glass half empty. So I'm pessimistic. But I would rather prepare for the worst. And if the worst doesn't happen, bonus is the way I look at things. Instead of saying, oh yeah, no problem, this is going to be over next week. Yay! It's not. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's not. But anyways, that went for a sideways movement there. So anyways, what else? Well, what have we been doing? So, let's just see what other people are saying here. Jumping ahead there. Yeah, Anita got sick after a flight last October to Arizona from that. And Bonnie's and her husband are doing well. That's good. I only go to my mom's, who is 96, to help her every morning and get her main meal. My hubby does the grocery once a week. That's our routine. We're both retired and have no pressing things to do. So, Bonnie, you're not coming into contact with anybody else except your mother and your husband then. And your husband's not coming into contact with anybody but you.
Well, unless he gets something when he goes grocery shopping, but I mean...
Yeah, see, your mother's 96.
Yeah, but she has to be taking
I
care
know,
of,
that's
so.
the dilemma. That's the dilemma. You know, like, what can you do about it?
I mean, your mother's in a nursing home and they have staff that work there.
Yeah,
too,
I know.
so.
I know. That's the thing. This is the whole thing.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do. So,
She's doing the best she can.
yeah, I know. Well, I wasn't using it as a
No.
criticism. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
this is the situation
Yeah,
we
I
find
know, I
ourselves in,
know.
because they're all telling us stay in, stay in, stay in. Don't go out unless you absolutely have to. But there's some cases like what Bonnie's into right now. How do you avoid that? You know, you can't. Anita says, "Oh, Stephen, I know that I have followed this since before anyone else believed it." Yeah, well, you have a nursing background, don't you,
Yeah.
Anita? Yeah, I'm not following. He who does not have a brain. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. There it is, nurse. Happy Easter, Laura. Yeah, I know. It is hard. But we got to survive, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this was the weekend of Easter, when traditionally everybody does something traditional on it, and we can't do that this year. So how's everybody spending Easter weekend with yourselves? How are we spending it? Yeah, doing what we usually do, because Easter weekend's no big deal to us one way or the other usually. I mean, normally we'd probably be going over to my sister's for dinner, or she'd be coming over here with her family, but that's not happening this year. And when I was younger, Easter was lots of fun because, you know, we got chocolate and everything.
Chocolate bunnies.
Well, I have chocolate bunnies here. They're stale. They're left
Oh,
over from
yeah,
last
okay.
year. You can bite the ears off of one of those. B says,
I
according
remember
to
getting those ones and they were all waxy tasting.
what?
The Easter bunnies.
Which ones?
The hollow ones.
Oh, the hollow ones. Yeah, I was watching some YouTube video earlier today.
I remember when I was a little kid, one time, my parents bought me this great big huge Easter bunny.
Was he hollow?
He was hollow and he was kind of waxy.
Yeah.
But I got kind of sick eating them.
My grandmother used to buy, she would never buy us hollow Easter bunnies. She would go to a local bakery in the town that she lived in, a little town, and at Easter time, they would actually make chocolate bunnies and chocolate chickens. And they weren't huge, but they were solid chocolate. They were maybe about the size of a Lindt chocolate bunny kind of a thing, but they were solid. And she'd hide them around her house and we'd go find them. I remember one year she wrote actually clues out and to find them. That was a lot of fun with it. But she always had those every year. And they were solid. And you'd be gnawing on it for days. Actually, the chocolate that was in them, if I think about it now, wasn't really that great a chocolate, but it was solid.
I remember my mother decided to get they used to have those Easter egg coloring kits. That
Oh, yeah. My mother would never let us have one of those.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway.
Too messy.
My mom would do that and she was helping me do it, right?
Not my mother.
And so we'd have colored eggs, right? But I always get experimented when I was a little kid, right? So
Did you put those one in the microwave
no,
too?
I colored 2 raw eggs too. Like she always colored hard boiled and soft boiled eggs, right? And I
Yeah.
also colored 2 raw ones, but she didn't know that, right? So my dad always took a hard-boiled egg to work with him. So he took two. He used to take two. One of them was the raw one. And so I guess, but he figured that out. He figured that out when he hit to crack it that it was raw. Before it got messy.
Yeah. Always figures. My mother wouldn't let us do the egg dyeing thing, although I think my sister did it once on her own, but we never did it because too messy. Don't need that.
Actually, it wasn't too bad.
Well, whatever. My mother wasn't into a mess. So if it was messy, we didn't do it. It was simple as that. My sister got away with more, but by then my mother was getting senile. So, because my sister's a lot younger than me. But yeah, we have the chocolate Easter egg or Easter bunnies and that, and that was about. We didn't do a lot of. I think there was only one year where my grandmother hid the bunnies.
We never did Easter egg hunts.
We never did Easter egg hunts either. No. You'd go to church, of course, but in those days we went to church every Sunday anyway, so it didn't matter.
We didn't go to church because we didn't.
Because you didn't, yeah, I know. Heathen. But yeah, that was about it. And then, of course, we always have the big family dinner kind of a deal. And as we got older and then, you know, all of us went out on our own kind of a thing, we'd always go back to my parents' place usually for Easter. Although I think we did it a few years then, because then my mother was getting to the point where she didn't want to cook anymore. Yeah, that was about it. So, yeah, nothing really that exciting. What are other people saying here? Anita says, I put a roast in the crock pot and baked an apple pie. Pie. One of my favorite food groups.
Yeah, if we have apples, I can make a pie one of these days.
Yeah, you keep saying that. Andy's walking my boxer, sketching, cleaning, no special meal today. Yeah. What are we having tonight? Oh, a hamburger. An Easter hamburger. It's made with real chopped up bunny. No, not really. Mel's eating chocolate eggs, reading, sleeping, watching movies, and having long walks with my dog. Sure, Anita's doing Easter candy will be on sale tomorrow if only we could go out to get it. Yeah.
Apparently their sales are down, so
well, I would imagine, yeah. Andy says, Walter, did you get in trouble for the egg?
No, actually it didn't. Actually, my dad kind of laughed about it. But and then I realized it. I said that to my mom when the egg went missing. I said, "Where'd the egg go?" And one of the eggs that I knew were raw. And my mom says, "Oh, I gave that to your dad." And I said, "Uh-oh."
Oh, Lucy! Oh, Lucy! What did you do, Lucy? Oh. Bee's gone to bed in the UK, so it's later there. Yes.
And I was only a little kid when we did that.
Well, we didn't do any of those kind of things. Actually, now that I think of it, we didn't do a hell of a lot, really. Easter. Only thing I liked about Easter was being a teacher. It meant that I got a 4-day weekend because you got Good Friday, but you also got Easter Monday. And if times were normal right now, most businesses are open on Easter Monday. They don't close. And
well, I never worked for first 9 years I worked for an insurance company, and we never got Easter Monday off.
Oh, crime!
But then when I started working at the government, we started getting Easter Monday off, and then when we changed from the government to a corporation, we stopped getting Easter Monday off.
Yeah. So that's about all we ever did on Easter. And so, how else are we spending our time? Well, I've been watching a lot of series on TV, Netflix. Thank goodness for Netflix. Watching this one that comes from the UK called Lovesick, which is kind of interesting about this guy. It starts off in the very first episode.
Actually, I think the UK version of it was called Scrotal Recall.
Oh, Scrotal Recall. Okay.
They changed the name for the North American version.
Figures. The British always have good ways of putting things. But this guy, the first scene is he was diagnosed with chlamydia. And now he's got to contact all his past girlfriends from over the years to let them know that he had chlamydia, and so they could get checked. And there's a story with each one of these women that he has dated, and it's a comedy.
And then there's also an ongoing story too.
Yeah, there's one like his best friend, this woman that he shared an apartment with, and that, well, he's kind of in love with her, and she's kind of in love with him, but it's one of those unrequited loves kind of a thing, and then she's about to get married now, and see how that works out. So it's okay. It's kind of an amusing little time waster. And now one I'm watching, he's not watching, but I really like, is called Unorthodox. It's about Orthodox Jews in Brooklyn, New York, and this young girl, she's 19, she has an arranged marriage with another Orthodox Jew, and she decides to leave him, and their society is so closed and so strict in that she has to do it in secret, and she goes to Berlin, Jewish person in Berlin, kind of a thing, and that comes up in the whole storyline too, and how her life is changing. But meanwhile, her husband and this shady character that's also an Orthodox Jew, but he's related to him, go looking for her, and they figure out that she's in Berlin, and she's also trying to get into a music to play music and stuff, and it's really good, actually, very good. A lot of subtitles in it because the characters, when they're in their Jewish setting, will speak in Yiddish. And then you get some German too, but it's actually subtitle.
Yiddish is actually
I know a form of German. I knew that. I stand to be educated. Thank you. I knew that.
Okay.
I did know that. I went not just off the boat, really.
Oh, I didn't
like
know
sometimes I figure what. Geez. Anyways, it's pretty good. I like it. And we just started watching last night. It's kind of a science fiction thing, so a little different. It's called Tales from the Loop, and that's on Prime.
Okay. Fine,
okay. Like I was going to say that I haven't seen
people
something.
leaving and
What? So what are people saying here? Maybe. Oh, Dana's here. Hi, Dana. Earlier today, all four sisters got together on WhatsApp along with my mother. Oh, that's nice.
D&D said goodnight.
I already know that. I
Okay.
said goodnight to her. Been there. Yeti says, I have to go too. Time's for bed. Have a nice day. Yep, you too, Yeti. Mel says here, Easter's a bit like Halloween in other countries. Kids are dressed as witches and they go door to door waving decorated willow twigs, wishing fresh and healthy year ahead, saying a twig for you, a treat for me. Of course, not this year because of Corona. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Bonnie says, watch the show Self-Made on Netflix, a 3-part episode. Yeah, I want to see. Oh, I want to watch that because I saw that on there too, and it sounded kind of interesting. The only thing I watch every day here in Ohio is at 2 p.m. Our governor has a press release. He is Mike DeWine, so we call it Wine with Dwayne. And no, it's very interesting. Yeah. So that, and then we've been kind of watching Tarantino movies again because I never liked Tarantino because the first Tarantino movie I ever saw was Pulp Fiction, and I didn't like it at the time. But then I saw the Kill Bill ones, and I really liked the Kill Bill ones. And then I've seen other Tarantino ones since then. So we rewatched the Kill Bills, and then we watched Pulp Fiction again. And actually, I kind of liked Pulp Fiction. A lot of people do. It's weird. Well, anything by Tarantino is weird, right? But actually, I kind of liked it. But they've got a whole bunch on Netflix. They have a lot of Tarantino. It's like a Tarantino festival. So, Mel says, in some parts of the country, we also have bonfires to get rid of evil spirits, mainly in Western Finland, our pagan traditions. Whoa. So, Mel, are you suggesting that maybe you're a Wiccan? What? Oh, you little witch, you. So there's that. And, if you want something really amusing, okay, in this time of our isolation, just do a search. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I mentioned it on my vlog this week. Do a search for COVID-19 or coronavirus parodies, musical parodies. They're funny. And there's one guy who does a whole lot of these. His name, it's the Holderness Family. And actually, tomorrow on I'm reviewing it on my YouTube, my vlog tomorrow. But his are really, really good. Um, so you know, you want to laugh about something that's not really funny, but you know, what else can you do? You laugh, you cry. I don't know. You might want to check that out. Anita says, I mainly watch a lot of YouTube channels. Yeah, I do too. And Chris says, love Kill Bill. Oil's not get into Pulp Fiction.
Well, I probably got.
Okay, something happened with your spell checker.
Yeah. She doesn't sound like she got into.
I don't think got into Pulp Fiction. No, the first time I ever saw it, I didn't get into it either.
Yeah, we saw it in theater when it first came out, and I had friends that really liked it. And for some reason, I just couldn't. I didn't really get into it. And then, but we saw it again.
But we watched it the other night.
And I got into it better this time.
Also, I guess what I didn't realize the first time I ever saw it was the structure of it. It has a very neat structure in how what seem like separate little incidents are actually all tied together, and it comes around full circle to the beginning again. It's a very neat structure. Now, I think when I originally saw it, I probably wasn't teaching as long English, so maybe I didn't get structure as well.
Well, actually, that was probably right at the beginning. We started getting into weird movies, so
yeah. Well, we've always been into weird movies to a certain extent, but anyways, it's okay. So what else? Oh, cooking. We're doing creative things with leftovers, like my cheesy waffle pieces today, and Walter made creme brulee last night with expired cream. We call it vintage creme de. Well,
it wasn't sour or anything.
Well, no, it wasn't that past. It was past the best before date.
Yeah.
You can eat anything. We have vintage salad dressing in our refrigerator. Believe me, you know, best before 2018. We're still alive. You know, mostly vinegar and that stuff, anyways, or whatever. Mel liked self-made. And Anita says, I've seen some new movie premieres have postponed till later in the year. Yeah, like the James Bond one was the first one I heard of. It's not supposedly now coming out till November.
Probably because they can't really film it, so.
Well, it's been filmed.
Oh, I don't know.
The movie's already, it was supposed to come out in March.
I think there's another movie they were making. I think maybe a Mission Impossible or something with. And they were supposed to be filming it in Venice, and it's.
Well, you're not going to release a movie right now if the movie theaters are closed. So makes some sense there too, doesn't it? So yeah. So what other exciting things did we make this week? I made peanut butter cookies. What did you make?
Nothing. I made the cinnamon buns last week. I didn't make anything too exotic.
Still making bread. Apparently, there's a shortage of yeast and flour right now out there. So we've got an order.
Luckily, we bought that big bag of flour at Costco.
Yeah, I know. We got a 40-pounder on that. So we're putting in a grocery order for pickup. We had to wait 2 weeks to get a pickup date. But Walter already was adding things to the cart for it, so.
Yeah, what happened is you could pick up a time slot, which I did, which was 2 weeks in advance, and I had a whole bunch of stuff that I added to it. Well, we can keep adding items to it. The pickup date's April 16th, and we can keep adding items to it until the end of the day tomorrow. And then I guess they do all their grocery shopping, and then we go pick it up on
Thursday. So we'll see how that works out. Been ordering stuff online too, like I told you about my little disaster with my sewing machine and my batting that I use. So, I mean, I could get batting, but I'd have to go to the quilt store, and she's not open. She running curbside service, but not every day, only like about 1 day out of the week, maybe 2. And I get real nerved up about doing that kind of a thing. So I'm ordering it online, and I've got a big order coming from Momfil, which is my favorite online sewing supply place. And it's supposed to be coming. What day is it coming next week? Wednesday, I think. Wednesday or Thursday. I think that's supposed to arrive. I bought some stuff off of Amazon. Part of that order came Friday. The rest of it doesn't happen until sometime in May. It was just printer paper and eye serum. Don't ask. What else have I got out there? Then my ink cartridges are supposed to come tomorrow for one of my printers as well. So a lot of stuff ordering online. That's the other thing I think is going to change when things get back to normal. I think there's going to be a lot more people doing business online as the norm. I mean, a lot of people do online now, but I think there's going to be even more after this. Anita says, we've been ordering our groceries too. We placed an order yesterday and pick up on Wednesday at 5 p.m. And Kathy says, I really like the pickup grocery service, but it takes a long time to get a time slot. Yeah, that's what we found too.
Yeah, like after I got the time slot right after I went to the grocery store and picked up stuff, and I was able to get a time slot and I said, well, it was 2 weeks in advance, and I thought, well, I'll grab it now because by the time 2 weeks rolls around, we'll probably need some fresh stuff. So
yeah, so probably after we get this order on Thursday, seeing how that works out, we'll have to pick another time slot 2 weeks into the future or further down and start filling the cart then. I mean, probably that's the only way you can do it. And plan ahead, I guess. And I mean, the worst case scenario is if you can do that, if you can get your time slot and you can put your stuff in advance and you can add it to it until, like, we can add into it until tomorrow with it. And if you find, like, as you're getting closer to the date, you don't need that stuff, you can always cancel the order. So, or get rid of things out of your cart. So, I don't know. We've never spent so much on groceries as we are right now.
Yeah, because we're stocked.
Well,
not really. We're getting stuff a little bit more in advance than what we used to.
Yeah.
Used to be that we just sort of ran to the grocery store and picked up a few things.
You know,
right?
if we needed something in the middle of the week, you just popped into the grocery store and got it. I mean, you're retired. We could do that. But now, no. Now you got a plan for it all. So
plus, we used to take advantage of all the sales.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Now we're paying full price for everything. So.
Anita says, we were finding we don't get everything, but I had a really good pantry built up for us before this. Can't get yeast still. Yeah, Walter got 2 pounds of yeast just before it all went out, and he got it from a baking supply place online.
Yeah, I went online and, I couldn't get it on Amazon, and where else would I check? I tried Walmart online, they didn't have it, and Costco didn't have it online. So then I went to I looked up all the local baking supply stores in the area and found this one place in Mississauga, and they had yeast still in stock. So I accidentally hit the button twice and ordered but I ended up paying for a bit for shipping. But actually,
well, I thought you said you paid $10 for shipping.
Yeah, well, it was like $10. Yeah. So,
well, yeah, but you got it now.
Yeah.
So black marketing yeast. We'll sell you an ounce of yeast for $20. Whatever. Let's see. Mel says, I still go to the grocery store, but only every 10 to 14 days. And then Nita says, I had to take the cat to the vet. Interesting. You hand off your pet at the door and wait in the car. The vet calls you on your cell to discuss everything. I'm kind of glad we don't have Cleo with us anymore because, yeah, I see people that are looking for pet food and stuff like that, and yeah, so I'm glad we don't have to go through that anymore.
Well, he says she finds it cheaper. Actually, it's more expensive for us
because we're buying our groceries though we usually buy our groceries at a discount food store, like a No Frills, if you know what that is.
And they don't have pickup.
But they don't have pickup service or that kind of thing. So we have to go to a more expensive grocery store that has that, and so it costs a little bit more. But it's also, we're buying, like we said, we're buying stuff in anticipation. Like I'm thinking, okay, what are we going to make? Like I told him today, put on the list some dates. I make date squares then.
And like I we go through eggs quite a bit, so I
Yeah.
put a couple of dozen eggs on there and stuff like that. So
I'm glad we have a freezer. Actually, we have several freezer areas, which is a good thing. With that,
yeah, usually go to No Frills, but then now we're going to the Superstore because they have pickup. So
yeah, Mel says where she lives, the vets have online service at the moment. Only urgent cases are taken care at the animal hospitals. Yeah,
well, that's the same thing with dentists here.
Yeah.
Dentists there's a few dentists available that do urgent cases. So
Yeah, Bonnie says, oh yeah, everywhere has the no frills. Yeah. Which, and their prices are a heck of a lot cheaper than, the
especially
real
if you
Canadian
buy this-
Superstore.
we used to buy stuff when it was on sale.
Well, yeah.
And stock up on it. So we always had a little bit of a stock of stuff. But
And that Instacart thing, that was how we got it the first time we did a delivery. And now they want like $30 for delivery, plus they charge you a surcharge on certain items, and they don't have the selection.
Well, the selection isn't as good, and if you notice that the selection is the product is cheaper in the store than it is on their list, so they're also charging you extra for the groceries too.
Yeah, Mel says his own eggs.
His own eggs.
Oh, what you mean, like ones that he could decorate and whatever. Actually, we go through quite a few eggs. We eat a lot of eggs. Well,
Plus everything.
Well,
a
we
lot of
bake.
things that
You gotta have the
bake
eggs.
Have eggs in it. So
maybe we should get chicken. Now we're
Yeah.
thinking about trying to get our hand on some seeds, or we've been reading things about how you can seed things from the produce that you buy and do some container gardening this year. Because we can't put in a garden in our backyard because the bunnies, we live on a forest and we have lots of bunnies, and the bunnies come and they eat your garden. And unless you want to build 6-foot walls around it or lots of chicken wire, these bunnies will tear it apart. So no garden.
we do get a fair bit of stuff from Costco. Actually, we had just ordered a bunch of stuff online from Costco and got it delivered.
But we've seen when we were out one day last week when I was taking the sewing machine in, they had a line up at Costco outside and everybody's doing the 2 meter, right? Things across it. But then I hear that, but once you get in the store, there's nothing separate. Like the aisles are not one-way aisles like they've done in some of the grocery stores. And no one's regulating it. So people are getting bunched up still. So, kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? And I don't know what the heck you need at Costco. Like, okay, Costco online to order from them is a bit annoying because the selection is not there.
Well, you can't get any fresh products.
No,
right?
and the stuff that you can get, you don't know when you're going to get it. Basically, it's
right now they had 2-day delivery, but then it went to 6 to 8 days, and now it's at 9 to 10 days for it to get delivered. And even when you do find it, a lot of times they don't have stuff in stock online. So I did get some stuff I wanted online in one order, and I just sort of threw a bunch of stuff together that I thought we could use. Like we got a big bottle of oil and stuff like that. So I mean that stuff never goes bad.
Mazzola party. Ooh.
So like larger items that Costco sells, nobody's going to use a can of tuna this big, but.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some things that you can get that we go through a lot of salsa, so we get big jars of Tostito salsa and stuff like that, and from them, and there's other items that you can get from them that are much more reasonable price.
Oh, okay, Bonnie. So she says, I want to buy my printer ink at Costco online, and they're out of stock. They charge $10 more per bag of dog food than in the store. Yeah. Okay, here's the place that I get my ink cartridges from. They're generic. Well, generic. They're not. Well, you can buy brand name ones, but their prices are really good. Their delivery right now, they're telling you their delivery used to ship it out to you within 2 days, and that now they're saying it's more like 6 to 10 days. But it's called Ink inkjet. I think it's just inkjet.ca. They are a Canadian company. It's either inkjet.ca or inkjetcartridges.ca. And they have them for all brands and everything. Their prices are pretty good. Their service is pretty good. And and I haven't had any problem with the cartridges that I have gotten from them in the past. So, if you're looking, try them out. Are you plugging it in there?
There's Inkjet Superstore.
That's it. That's what it's called. Inkjetsuperstore.ca. Let me see that. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Inkjet Superstore.
.ca.
All Inkjet Superstore, all one word. .ca. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, I buy generic, and their generic brand I think it's called Mustache, and I have not had any problems at all with their ink cartridges. So, and I'm using them on an Epson machine. Like, they'll have a compatibility chart on there. You just plug in the make of your printer, and it's that's typed like mine's an Epson Workforce 3540 or whatever, and I plug it in and it tells you exactly which ones you need and everything like that. Mel says I also buy refill inks to my printer. Have been using those for years and they have always been good as the original inks. Yeah. I've not had any problems with this. And I've bought from other companies too, and I've never really had any problem with any of them. But this one is Canadian, and I find that their service is pretty good. In fact, I was looking in it for a couple of days after I'd ordered it. It kept saying to be processed or something like waiting to be processed or whatever. And I thought, uh-oh, what's going on? There was no information on there saying, because of the virus situation, we're closed or we can't do it or whatever. And of course, it went right to my credit card. So I went online. They have a chat mode. Well, I put in, my order number, what I'd done, just said, I know, you're probably running slower than usual, but I just like to want to make sure because you've already taken my money. And I got a message back from them. Actually, I went offline when they sent me the message because the chat person wasn't coming on, and I waited for about 15 minutes, probably only one person. But when I went back on the next day, the chat mode was still there, and there was her reply, and she says, yeah, we're sorry about that because of the situation. It's taking us about 6 to 10 days. And right after that, I got a notice saying it had been shipped, and they send you a tracking number. So it goes through Canada Post. And so it's supposed to come by 8 p.m. tomorrow night. So we'll see how it is. But I haven't had any problem with it before. This is not the first time I've ordered from them. So, yeah, they've been good to me. Yeah, actually my main printer is an Epson one that has the tanks. And I've never bought ink online for it. But those tanks last a long time. And the price is really good. I mean, the initial price for the printer is over $300, whereas you can buy a printer for like $50. But they get you on the ink cartridges. This is almost the reverse. The printer costs a fair amount of money, but the refills are about $18, $19 a piece, and you will get. I usually can fill a color tank, like there's 4 tanks, with one bottle twice. And like I said, it'll last you a long time. And I'm a heavy duty printer. So.
I bought one. I had a HP for a long time. It worked fine. The HP I had was working fine. But the ink cartridges got out of hand as far as price was concerned, because originally when I bought the printer, it was it had 6 different colors on mine and they didn't hold very much, and because it was a photographic printer, it had all the different colors, and so they used to be that they charged me about $8 a cartridge when I first got it, and now when I just got rid of it about a year ago, it was $22 a cartridge.
Yeah.
For it. So it would cost me an arm and a leg day just to fill it. So I bought one of these Epson printers, one of the bottom line ones. I think it cost about $250 or whatever plus tax, and I haven't had to refill the ink yet, and I still have 3/4 of my black in there.
Yeah, that's a
And,
tank one though,
it's
right?
a tank
Yeah.
one, right? So like, I mean, I can get a year's worth of printing out of filling the tanks.
Yeah.
Once, so
And I'm a heavy duty printer too. I print everything, and I get a lot of mileage. It was well worth the investment for the tank machine. The printer that I'm buying these cartridges for is another printer I have, which is an Epson one. And it's a printer that I had before the tank one, but the cartridges for it, if I buy original Epson ones, are quite expensive. I think they run, I need 4 in it, and I think it costs me like about $70 or $80 to buy Epson original ones. Whereas I'm buying 2 of every color in this order to this inkjet superstore, plus the black. And the black one, I'm buying 2 high, what do they call it? High capacity, high yield. So basically each one of those is double. For all of that, I'm getting 8 cartridges with the tax. Their shipping, I think if it's over $50, their shipping is free. It's costing me, I think, $58 for that. And that'll last me quite a while. Because that printer I don't use a lot, but it has the ability to print on both sides without you having to flip the paper over. And so if I'm doing a real, like something really lengthy, I'll double side the printing. So that's what I like that for. Uh-oh, COVID.
yeah, not all the Epsons. Like some have cartridges and some have to take the tanks. And the tanks are actually, the printers are expensive, but it's worthwhile.
Yeah. I've had a lot of different printers over the years, and I like the Epson brand the best. I hate HP. They're horrible. And Canon, I've never had a lot of experience with Canon, so I'm really not sure about them, except I do know that Canon used to be very expensive on ink cartridges as well. But I like Epson. And I've had a lot of them over the years, and yeah, I think you can't go wrong with an Epson. Mel says, how much VAT is in Canada? 13%.
No.
Well,
that is a combination
of HST and GST, or
yeah.
PST.
I'm trying to remember what HST is. I can't remember what our provincial sales tax is. Like what happens in Ontario is we have a provincial sales tax, what we have to pay, and then we have what we call a harmonized sales tax, or HST, GST. Actually, it's GST. HST is the two joined together.
Yeah. So with the two together, it's 13%. I think for what would be the equivalent of that, I think it's about 5.
Yeah, GST rate is 5%.
Yeah.
So we pay. There's 8% provincial sales tax in Ontario, plus 5% GST. So that's, I don't know if that's what you would call your VAT.
Yeah.
Mel says 24% there. Wow.
Whoa.
We thought it was bad.
Yeah, we thought it was bad here. Yeah. Well, anyways, people, that's pretty much our time today. So we have...
Mel, what works here is a lot of European countries have that VAT included in their price, so that the price that they see at the till is the price that when you check out is the price that you see on your product is what you pay. But here what we have is the taxes are applied after you buy it. So if you buy something for $1 here, then you take it, the taxes get added after you buy it. So it ends up costing you $1.13 here.
That's why I look about Australia. Their taxes are included in all their prices. So you go into a store and you buy something for $49.99, it's $49.99. When you get to the cash register, it's not $49.99 plus 13%. Another percentage like it is here, which usually throws people off sometimes when they come to Canada and they see, oh, that's a good price. And then when they get to the cash register and go, wait, that's not the price. Yeah, that's called tax. So
it's real fun when you buy a car.
Yeah. Bonnie says it's 15% HST in out in the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay, people, everybody have a good Easter, what's left of it. Enjoy your bunny if you're eating it. And remember, always eat the bunny from the ears first and work your way down. They like it that way. It tickles. So, hope everybody has a nice week.
Yeah.
Check out my vlog tomorrow if you're interested. And we'll talk to you next week. And what we'll talk about, who knows? Stay safe, stay healthy, stay indoors. Bye-bye.